Hello everyone, my name is Naveen Desai. I'll be talking to you today regarding certain few important tips that you need to remember while vitrification. So let's get on with it. So initially the most important aspects are you have made a freezing sheet or a vitrification sheet for the patient or for the couple, or for if it's a donor then for the donor, or embryo donation then for embryo donation. So you have this sheet of data that you have prepared, and you've kept it at the workstation, because it's very important that you have it always right in front of you, because it just gives you more control over the vitrification process. Along with that, it is also important that you have the exact same coding on the sheet as well as on the CryoDock or whichever device you decide to freeze on. Once you have all that in place, it's important that you recheck on the media that you have kept. So you have to remember that the media that is required for freezing or thawing has to be kept out 30 minutes prior to beginning the process of vitrification or thawing. So it's important that you keep it. Now this media that is removed or aliquoted 30 minutes prior could be aliquoted in multiple dishes. Here I have a 90 mm dish where I have removed the vitrification media, but you also get a dish which is a repro plate, which is designed by one of the kit making companies. This is from Kitazato, which pioneers in vitrification and thawing. However, there are other very good vitrification medias coming from companies such as Origio or Irvine Scientific, and it depends upon which kit the lab uses. And all these kits that I spoke about are well researched on and have shown to have very good equal results. So one is that repro plate, one is a 90 mm plate, the other is a 60 mm or smaller dish. Now depending upon which protocol you use or which kit you use, so the protocols are kit dependent. So when I use the words protocol, it means which kit you use. It will vary your usage of consumables. So you need to have all of these prepared before you start the vitrification process. Also, when I mentioned about aliquoting this media 30 minutes prior to starting the process, it is critically important that you aliquot this and keep it aside on a cold surface, because vitrification and thawing, as against all the other processes in embryology, room temperature. When I say about cold surface, I mean room temperature. Cold surface is just a relevant term that we use on a day-to-day basis to differentiate between a cold surface and a warm surface. A warm surface for us is 37 degrees, on which all the other laboratory procedures are done. So this is a separate vitrification unit which is at room temperature. Along with that, right now for the video purpose, we have this very bright tube light on. Generally, the IVF laboratory doesn't have such bright lighting, and it is considered a very good practice to have as dim lighting as possible. Okay. Similarly, even for vitrification, the dimmer the light, the better it is. And if there is some procedure for which the lighting of the IVF laboratory is lit up, in that case, the aliquoted media, you cover it up with some lid or some cover which obstructs the light to ensure that you get maximum output from the vitrification process. All right. Along with that, I also have a small container here containing liquid nitrogen, which is extremely important when you're doing the vitrification, because once you finish loading the eggs or the embryos on the particular device, it's critically important that you dip it immediately in liquid nitrogen. So let's begin with the few tips that I was talking about. To begin with, the first and the most important tip is about how many number of eggs or embryos do you need to vitrify or freeze on a single device. Now, as per good practice, it's always recommended that you freeze or vitrify 4 oocytes, 3 day 3 embryos, or 2 blastocysts on one particular device. Now, we know that there are a lot of permutation combinations we can do, but to get the maximum output or the best survival, it is important we stick to these global standards. I have seen labs, or I have myself witnessed that there have been more than these number of eggs or embryos being frozen on a single device. But don't do that. Always freeze maximum to 4 oocytes on a cryotop or a cryo device, 3 day 3 embryos and 2 blastocysts. Okay, so that is tip number 1. Okay, tip number 2 is when you are following a particular protocol. Now depends which protocol you're following. Generally, for a day 3 freezing, you have to follow a 13-minute protocol as against a day 5, which is a 15-minute protocol. But depending upon which protocol you're following, you move the embryos which are immersed in a particular, say, solution from one solution to another from time to time as per the protocol. Now when you're doing this movement, okay, for example, when you're moving the embryos from ES solution to the vitrification solution, which is the VS, it's important you just don't let it stay there and let it rest for the amount of time which is specified. It is important to keep aspirating these say embryos in the respective, say, vitrification medium and removing the surplus out of it. For example, this is the vitrification system. So if I say wash the embryos once, after the embryos have been, say, dispersed back into the vitrification solution, the remainder in the stripper has to be let go outside. So like that, you wash it 3 times in one vitrification drop, then you move it to the second vitrification drop, and then you're ready to freeze after 40 seconds. Now it is important to note that the reason they specified 2 VS is because for the same reason that you move it from one VS drop to another, and when you're doing this movement, you keep aspirating it and washing it. Otherwise the protocol has no significance to put 2 of the same drops next to each other. Alright, so that is tip number 2. Tip number 3 is once you have loaded the embryos or the eggs on the cryo device, it is important to drop the or rather immerse the particular cryotop immediately into the liquid nitrogen and shake it evenly. Now immediately inside the liquid nitrogen is because you avoid the embryos or the eggs contact with vapor, and that is not a good sign for any vitrification process. So it has to go directly into the liquid. Alright, if you see even now there are a lot of vapors here. So if you are slow into it, it comes in contact with the vapor and it is not good. So it's important you immerse it directly inside and have a good shake. Now a good shake for the cryo device is important because it helps out evening the temperature in the liquid nitrogen tank, and that does not hamper the vitrification process, and that ensures safe sticking or safe say loading of your, say, embryos and eggs on the cryo device. Once that is over, depending upon whether it's a closed system or an open system, if it's a closed system, you will definitely first seal the cryo device and then immerse in liquid nitrogen. If it's an open system, remember you have to cover the device immediately once you have dipped it inside liquid nitrogen, because not properly covering it is going to cause or rather going to hamper the embryos when you are planning to remove it from your, say, cryo tank while doing the thawing process. So that is tip number 3. Okay. Tip number 4 is something which is done during the process, and it can be considered as a positive tip or a neutral tip. Is whenever you are loading the embryos on inside the equilibration system or the ES, and you're allowing it to rest there for 10-12 minutes. For those 10-12 minutes, irrespective of the lighting of the lab, it's important just to keep a small cover on it. What I do sometimes is generally I have either a sterile glove packet or the sterile say cryotop cover, which after removing it's still there. I just lay it over the dish to cover the drops to avoid additional lighting going on it. Also, another thing important about the lighting is when you're not using the microscope on the vitrification system, please ensure that the light of the microscope is shut, or you have moved the particular dish from below the light. Why? Because there is no point keeping the light on. The light is coming from below and you're covering it from the top. It's going to make no sense, right? So it's important that you shut the light off and you keep it aside. Okay, so that is the most important aspect regarding lighting. And the last and the most important part is documenting your freezing. It is important how your freezing went. For example, sometimes these are also manufactured products. The cryo devices are manufactured products. They come out of a machine. So although they say that it's 100% consistent, you might end up using a cryo device which is faulty. Okay, so it could, because of which it could be very sticky, or because of which it could be difficult to load or drain out the media from the cryo device. So that is supposed to be documented, because when you're thawing, if the thawing process results in non-survival of your eggs or embryos, you have something to look back to analyze why this could have happened. Okay, so it's important you write the timing, how much it took to freeze the eggs or the embryos, as well as how it went, whether the loading was good, the draining was good, or if there was any issue regarding that. Okay, and although I keep saying that this is the most important part, there is one more part, but one more point rather, which is important, but it varies because there are two school of thoughts about the draining of the media that you when you load the eggs or the embryos on the cryo device. Now some say experts or some embryologists are of the thought that drain as much media as possible, whereas there are some school of thoughts which says you can leave about little media and it's not extremely important to drain off the complete media. So that is still being debated, and once a consensus comes, probably we all will know how much amount of media is to be kept. But if you ask me, my practice is I drain off as much media as possible, and by far I have got fantastic results on my thawing. So touch wood, I'm going to keep continuing doing that as well as following these small critical 5 points that I told you. And remember that if you follow these points along with what good practices you're doing, you are going to see tremendous, improvements in your survival rates, improvements in your freezing technique. You're just going to have more control over how you practice, say, freezing and vitrification or thawing. So that's about it from me for now, but I'm eagerly waiting to make the next video and see you soon on the next video. So thank you and keep tuned in.